What features are important to you when buying a handheld radio? It can be kind of overwhelming, all the different things that radios have or don't have. So I put together a 34-point list to help you out. I know I've gone through a lot of trials and errors. So here we go. At the top, we're going to look at 4 different groups of radios. Amateur radio, GMRS, FRS, and MURS. Ham and GMRS are licensed. You don't need a license for FRS or MURS. So the first section is repeater use. Are you worried about repeaters at all? If you don't have repeaters in your area, probably not. Repeaters are only allowed on ham and GMRS. And then split tones. That's a big thing. It's one way, especially GMRS repeater, keep people off of their system is by using a split tone. The reverse feature, where it actually flips the channels, the send and receive channels, so that you can hear people on the input side, so you can tell if they're close or not. Real good for emergency services. And then the talk around is where if you're talking to somebody on a repeater and then you realize that they're close by and you don't want to use a repeater, you just want to use the output channel, you set the talk around. So that would, you'd be talking on channels 15 through 22 essentially. And then computer programmable. Definitely if it's repeater capable, it helps to be computer programmable. The next section is listening. What do you want to do besides talk on the radio? There's the NOAA weather channels. You can listen to them, and then some radios also have the alert feature where you can set it up so if there is a weather alert, it comes through with a loud siren that will scare you and then give you the information on that. Also, some radios have FM broadcast. So do you like listening to the regular radio, music or talk radio or whatever? Very few have AM receive, so it's not on the list. Also in listening is the scanning functions. You can do channel scan, and most radios have that. And then CTCSS or DCS scan, those are the privacy tones, interference codes. It's kind of rare for radios to have that. The higher end ones do. May or may not be important to you. And then in the other section, this is mostly for ham, is the digital and the DMR, digital mobile radio. There's different types. Yaesu uses one type, ICOM uses another. Is it multiband? Can you listen to more than just the band that it's designed to transmit on? Can you listen to other frequencies within that band? All the UHF, all UHF, VHF, or even more, air bands, things like that. And then for ham, we have APRS, Automatic Packet or Position Reporting System. Then in the receiving area, we have memory allocations. Can you add memories beyond what the radio comes with? And then is the antenna removable. In FRS is the only radio system here that doesn't allow a removable antenna. And then dual display and dual receive. This has become more important to me. I like to listen to multiple frequencies at the same time. It can kind of get in the way sometimes, especially if you're a novice or you hand the radio to a novice. They don't know which button to press to talk or whatnot, or what they're listening to. And then sometimes there's radios that have what's called dual watch, where it's not really dual receive, but it just switches back and forth between the two channels that you've set up. One you're watching and one you're actually using. And then you have receive outside of the transmit. Again, how many bands does it cover? What frequencies does it cover? Is that important to you or not? Okay, we talked about aircraft band earlier as well. Do you like listening to that? Is that important? On transmitting, again, you have memory allocations for transmit. Some of the GMRS radios that are coming out only have a limited number of slots that you can put GMRS repeater channels into. So if you have an area, like say the Atlanta area, that has a lot of repeaters, eventually they have to use the same channel number, and they use different CTCSS codes. Do you need a removable antenna? Do you want one? You do get a little more range out of a larger antenna. And then transmit power as well. You'll see here in amateur radio, output power is pretty much unlimited. In reality, you're not going to get a handheld over 10 watts, no matter what the internet ad says. In GMRS, you're limited to 5 watts on some channels, half a watt on some others, and you can go above 5 watts on the last group of channels. FRS is limited to half a watt, and MURS is limited to 2 watts. Ease of changing the transmit power. Okay, do you have to do it through the software? Can you do it with buttons on the front panel? There's some FRS radios that has 2 buttons on the side. One you talk on the low power, and the other one is called boost, and that transmits on the high power. Form and function. Who will use it? Is this something you're going to give to your kids? You don't want to spend a lot of money. They'll probably break it. Are you giving it to adults? Is it for a power user? Is it something you're going to hand to someone in your group? FRS and MURS are good for that because you don't have to worry about whether the person's licensed. Resistance to rain, and can it be submersed? If you want good rain resistance, it needs to have the IP number, the second number, of a 6 or a 7. Sometimes 4 and 5 they say is rainproof, but that's really light rain, a drop or 2 into the radio. 7 is good if you're going to submerge it, like you're kayaking or you hike and you walk through streams and maybe the radio drops in or you drop in with the radio. Do you want a display on it or not? If it's a simple radio, MURS is only 5 channels. Do you need a display? Front panel buttons. Do you want any? Do you want a whole numbered keypad or minimal buttons? I'm looking at one radio right now. It's got 5 buttons on the front. Another one's got about 16 buttons on the front. And then the size. Does the size matter to you? The larger the unit, the more power output it's probably got. But sometimes a small radio, especially if you just have to talk close range, a small radio might be better. Then we have the power source. So you got the battery type. Does it take AA's or AAA's? Is the power pack a nickel cadmium or lithium ion? Does it take both a power pack and AA's or AAA's if you need to? And then the charger type. Does it only take batteries? Is it USB charged, which seems to be a big thing these days? Does it have a plug you plug into the radio, or is there a cradle that you plug the radio into the cradle and then the cradle's plugged into an outlet? Is there a 12-volt interface so you can interface directly to the car? And I'm not talking about an interface into the charging cradle, I'm talking about an interface into the radio. It's kind of rare for a handheld. Yaesu FT60 is an example of where this can be done. But then you can also have the eliminators that take the place of where the battery goes, and that plugs into the power outlet in your car. Other features. Does the type of belt clip matter to you? The cheaper radios have cheaper belt clips. The more expensive radios tend to have better belt clips, and I like them if they're spring loaded. Is having a flashlight on the radio a concern of yours? And if it is, some flashlights are better than others. Some will keep you from tripping in the dark. Some will actually let you see some things at a distance. And then we get to value, taking all the other considerations. What is your budget? Or what are you willing to spend? You can go from $20 to over $500 on a handheld radio. And then features versus price. Sometimes you have to make some trade-offs. So what's important to you? Do you want FM and NOAA? It's up to you. I was hoping this video would be shorter, but there's a lot to cover, and choosing a radio isn't an easy thing.